In 1969, the factory that once built America's mightiest locomotives fell silent forever. ALCO, born from a merger of titans, creator of the legendary Hudson and Big Boy, was not simply outpaced by rivals, it was undermined from within, betrayed by the very partner it trusted most. What happened inside these walls set off a chain reaction that shattered an empire and rewrote the fate of railroads across the nation. How does an icon go from ruling the rails to vanishing almost overnight? The truth behind ALCO's downfall is far more unsettling than you have heard. Night fell over Schenectady, and the factory's windows glowed for the last time. In 1969, the American Locomotive Company closed its doors, and with it, thousands of lives were upended in a single, shattering moment. The silence that followed was not just the end of an era, but the loss of work, pride, and purpose for a city built on steel and sweat. Rows of machines stood idle, their operators gone. The air, once thick with the clang of hammers and the hiss of steam, turned still. For generations, families had gathered at these gates. Fathers, sons, mothers, daughters, each shift a ritual, each whistle a heartbeat. Now, the only sounds were footsteps echoing on concrete floors and the low hum of memories refusing to fade. A former machinist, voice brittle but unbroken, remembered, "We built engines that crossed a continent. I watched the last one roll out. It was like seeing a cathedral go dark." Others spoke of pride, of hands stained with oil, of friendships forged in the heat of the foundry. But beneath the pride ran a deep ache, questions left behind, anger at decisions made far from the shop floor, and a sense of betrayal that no severance check could erase. The closure was more than economics. It was a wound that cut through families, neighborhoods, and the very identity of a town that had once powered a nation. In the emptiness, a single question lingered. How could it have come to this? In 1901, 8 locomotive builders joined forces, forging a single name that would echo across the continent: the American Locomotive Company. ALCO's birth was more than a merger. It was a declaration of ambition. In Schenectady and beyond, workshops thundered day and night. Men and women bent steel, poured iron, and shaped the engines that would pull the nation into a new century. From the start, ALCO's craftsmen set their sights high. They built the Hudson, sleek, fast, and elegant, a marvel for the New York Central. The Mohawk followed, heavier and stronger, thundering over mountains and plains. Then came the Union Pacific Big Boy, the largest steam locomotive ever built, stretching nearly 132 feet and weighing over 1,000,000 pounds. These machines were more than metal and fire. They were pride made visible, each one a monument to human skill and imagination. Engineers in crisp overalls walked the factory floor, their hands black with grease, their eyes fixed on blueprints. Every bolt, every weld, every whistle was the result of hours of labor and years of learning passed down from one generation to the next. ALCO's roundhouses became cathedrals, filled with smoke and steam, echoing with the rhythm of progress. For half a century, ALCO's locomotives led the way, pulling freight, carrying passengers, linking cities and towns. In the glow of their headlamps, America's future looked unstoppable. But even as the company's empire grew, a faint chill lingered in the air. There was a sense that the world was changing, and that even giants could be left behind. In 1942, the War Production Board handed down a decision that would shape the future of American railroads. ALCO, known for its mastery of steam, was ordered to focus on building tanks and steam locomotives for the war effort. The directive was clear: diesel development would have to wait. Meanwhile, the Electromotive Division of General Motors, known as EMD, received a different assignment. Its engineers were tasked with refining diesel engines for submarines and military vessels, free to experiment and innovate while the rest of the industry was locked into old patterns. Internal memos from ALCO's leadership reveal growing frustration. Requests to shift resources toward diesel research were denied, stamped with the authority of Washington. The company's best minds were diverted to armored vehicles and the last generation of steam giants, while EMD's workshops hummed with the quiet progress of diesel technology. Wartime priorities left ALCO's engineers watching as competitors advanced, unable to act. By the time the war ended, the wide gap was clear. EMD emerged with proven diesel engines, ready for the demands of a peacetime economy. ALCO, burdened by years spent away from the cutting edge, was forced to scramble for a foothold in a market it once led. The consequences of a single government order rippled through every shop and office, setting the stage for a contest ALCO was never truly allowed to join. The imbalance was not born of failure, but of decisions made far from the factory floor, decisions that would haunt ALCO for decades. In 1946, ALCO introduced the 244 engine, a machine that was supposed to bring new life to the company's diesel ambitions. The stakes were clear. The diesels from EMD were already winning the trust of railroads, and ALCO needed a miracle. Instead, the 244 became a nightmare. Engineers in Schenectady worked under relentless pressure, forced to push the engine into production after barely 2 years of prototype testing. There was no time for the endurance runs or field trials that might have exposed lurking flaws. What rolled out of the factory looked modern, but inside, trouble was brewing. Field reports from the Pennsylvania Railroad, Union Pacific, and New Haven began to pile up. Crankshafts on the 244 cracked under stress, sometimes after only a few months in service. Welds in the main bearing saddles failed, splitting blocks and forcing entire locomotives out of commission. Mechanics opened engine bays to find oil-starved bearings, burnt turbochargers, and leaking internal fuel lines, problems that could not be fixed with a simple swap of parts. Each repair led to new failures. Maintenance crews spent more time with wrenches and welding torches than with trains on the move. The turbocharger, mounted directly to the block, amplified heat and made repairs a constant struggle. Shop manuals grew thick with emergency bulletins and retrofit instructions. Railroad superintendents wrote bluntly, "ALCO units spend more time in the shop than on the road." Orders dried up, and the company's reputation, built over decades, began to unravel. The 244's failures were not just mechanical, they were a public unraveling, leaving ALCO exposed and vulnerable at the very moment it needed strength. In June 1953, a letter arrived in Schenectady. A single page ended decades of partnership. General Electric, once ALCO's indispensable ally, severed all ties. Boardroom minutes from that summer captured the cold logic. General Electric executives saw no future in backing a company hobbled by technical setbacks and vanishing orders. Freed from the partnership, General Electric engineers moved quickly. They drew on years of shared designs and field experience, assembling a team to build something the industry had never seen. 6 years later, the U-25B thundered onto the rails. With 2,500 horsepower, a Cooper Bessemer engine, and modular electronics, it was everything railroads demanded: efficient, reliable, and easy to maintain. Orders flooded in from Union Pacific, Pennsylvania Railroad, and Southern Pacific. ALCO, left behind, watched as General Electric's blueprints became the new standard, and the market it once owned slipped away for good. In 1956, a new team of engineers gathered in Schenectady with one last mission to fix the mistakes that had haunted ALCO's name. Their answer was the 251 engine. Blueprints spread across the drafting tables showed thicker webs, a fully counterweighted crankshaft, and dual cooling circuits designed to tame the heat that once crippled the 244. The turbocharger sat apart from the block now, easier to reach, less likely to fail. Field tests ran for months, not weeks. This time, the reports came back clean. Mechanics at the Illinois Railway Museum still praise the 251 for its resilience, swapping out wet cylinder liners with a practiced hand. In preservation yards from Pennsylvania to India, ALCO's last great engine still finds work. Curators call these machines living history, a testament to the skill and stubborn hope of those who refuse to let a legacy die. The story is not simple. Blame never falls on one set of shoulders. But the 251 endures, proof that even in defeat, greatness can leave its mark. Today, corporate alliances still shape the fate of entire industries, often with little warning when trust turns to takeover. In a world where innovation can be bought, borrowed, or stolen, the lesson is clear. The next legend may already be standing on ground that is not theirs to keep.